Hey, you know who it is. Today I want to talk a little bit about cast iron piping. Cast iron is a drainage pipe that is pretty heavy and more expensive than ABS. Some of the benefits of cast iron is the quietness. If you have ABS inside your bathroom wall and there's a bedroom next to it, you can definitely hear the water running through the pipe. Cast iron definitely insulates it a lot better. Some of the cons about cast iron, it's more expensive. It usually takes much longer to install, and actually it does not last as long as ABS in my opinion. I see a lot of problems with cast iron getting little pinhole leaks in it or rusting up inside, and then it's more likely to give you guys a cloggage in the pipes. So overall, I prefer, especially these days, ABS personally, but a lot of my clients, especially in higher end homes, definitely like the quietness of the cast iron pipes. And if a home already has cast iron, I like to just, and I'm only replacing a small section, I like to keep it cast iron, and so that's why we use a lot of cast iron still. So I just want to talk about cast iron and give you guys a kind of a brief overview of how to use it and what to do. So let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to know is how to connect the cast iron pipe properly. Today I have 2-inch cast iron, which is very common for things like your shower drain or kitchen drain line, things like that. So here, this is what's called a combination fitting or a combi, and this is just a small section of the pipe. And right here we have what's called a no-hub coupling, and it just has a metal band with 2 screw locks on top of it with a rubber type band that you slip right around the pipe. And so first what I like to do is grab the metal part, slip it on the pipe, grab the no-hub coupling rubber part, and push it in all the way till it's seated. And I'll get a close-up of where it should be seated. And then simply connect your fitting, or if it's another pipe, just like that, making sure that you're fully seated and not have a reverse angle or even an upward angle too much. You want it pretty much solid straight on there. Then you'll take the no-hub band, you'll slide it onto the rubber part, line it up till it's perfectly nice in line. You don't want it hanging off one side or another. Then you'll grab a 5/16 nut driver and simply start screwing these things tight, making sure you go from one side to the other, especially at first, and that this metal part here is not spilling over to one side or another. So simply tighten that pretty well tight on both sides. And once you've got it pretty good with your 5/16 nut driver, as tight as you can go, you will then need a 60-inch pound torque wrench. This thing torques it at exactly 60 pounds per inch. So it's an exact thing. There's no guessing in here, and that's exactly how much they want these no-hub couplings tightened. So that works this way. If you can listen here, that snap indicates that I don't have to go any further, and you'll want to do it to both sides. Right there. It's important to, when you're connecting these pipes, to know which proper slope there is. So you'll need a level like this. This is a torpedo level. This is a good one to have, or even a 2 or 3 foot level, but sometimes those don't fit into tight spaces. So this is my favorite one I always carry with me while I'm under the house or working in the yard with cast iron or ABS pipe or whatever it is. So simply, to get the slope, you'll put that right on top, and I like using this side of the torpedo level on the pipe. It's kind of got a groove that sits there nicely. The other side on this one does have a magnet too, and sometimes that's kind of nice. But the proper slope is 1/4 inch per foot. Everyone knows that. There are some exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, just use a 1/4 inch per foot of slope. And what that means is this level, and we'll get a close-up in a second, needs to show approximately a 1/4 bubble, and that equals a 1/4 inch per foot. So what I mean by a 1/4 bubble is there's 2 lines in the center of this level here. Bubble is always on the high side. So as you can see, my pipe goes up, the bubble goes to the high side. If I go up on this side, the bubble will go on that side. It's always the high side. So you will want the bubble, to be on the high side and the slope word going down. And what I mean by going down is to the main sewer, the rest of your connections. To give you a good example of what I mean by a 1/4 inch per foot, I'm going to use this scenario. This is a 2 by 1.5 inch sand tap tee or sanitary tap tee. Tapped meaning there's threads here. And this would be an ideal thing for something like a bathroom sink drain line. So you would see this flush with underneath your sink where the nipple comes out that attaches to the trap. And the drain line would come down into this combi here, and upwards would go the vent. And so the water would drain this way into this combi here and go downhill this way. And so a 1/4 inch per foot, if I had 4 feet, which I have on my work table right here, a 4-foot pipe, let's say, going down this way, every 4 feet needs to be 1 inch higher like this. So you would need a 1 inch, this would be flat on the ground here, and this would raise up 1 inch above the ground level here, like that. And so, in other words, if I had, let's say, 16 feet of pipe, I would need 4 inches higher on this side than my furthest 16-foot length at the bottom. So, in other words, if my pipe was 4 foot long, which it's a little bit shy here, the length of the table, I would need on the furthest side this way exactly 1 inch of distance between the bottom of my pipe and the floor on this side. And on this side, it would be all the way to the ground. And remember, this is a minimum code requirement. Of course, if you can afford it, you can have a greater slope like this or this. And so that's what I mean by a 1/4 inch per foot on your level, or for every 4 feet of pipe, 1 inch of slope. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about properly hanging the cast iron pipe, which is just strapping it. You'll need a metal plumber's tape. I don't want to see any plastic plumber's tape when you're hanging this. It's not up to code. Plastic plumber's tape is only for ABS. So you'll need plumber's tape, and what we like to do is wrap it around and hang it up with one drywall screw into a nice supporting beam underneath the house with a stove bolt, which is just a nut and a screw, or you can do 2 drywall screws or 1 drywall screw and loop it up. But the proper distance for spacing is going to be every other connection. So example would be 1 on each side of the no hub coupling. Or if it exceeds 4 feet, you'll need one at minimum every 4 feet. So this was where it sometimes gets tricky, just trying to adjust for your slope and strapping it up with your plumber's tape. But it's not too hard once you get a hang of it. You'll put the plumber's tape around the pipe and kind of hold it up here, and while it's strapped, and you'll put your level down, and you'll have to kind of go back and forth to your next plumber's tape strap and kind of adjust for it and go up and down. And that's why I like to use a stove bolt, because there's some adjusting in there, and it's not just wrapped around and have a permanent screw inside the stud. So with a stove bolt nut, you can actually make minor adjustments, and that makes it a lot easier to level your pipe and get the proper slope. So I want to first talk about horizontal strapping when the pipe is going this way, not vertical. An example of places that you'll see the horizontal piping that you'll need to strap is under your house, or in like a multi-unit apartment complex, in the garages, things like that. Next, I want to talk about vertical connections. The vertical support should be supported at every floor if there's multiple floors, or also at the base of the system. All right, so when we're connecting vertical piping, the support should be at every floor if there's multiple floors, or if you're under a house and on the first floor, both of those areas should be connected. And also at the very bottom, the base, wherever the vertical ties in to the horizontal, that also needs to be supported. And it can be every floor as long as each floor does not exceed 15 feet. So if it is a 20-foot ceiling in one floor, by chance you'll need 2 support sections. So if this was one section, a standard 8 or 10-foot floor, you would need just 1 support in here. Next, let's talk about cutting this pipe. There are a couple ways of cutting this pipe, the plumber's way and the non-plumber's way. What we use, professionals, is a snap cutter, and I'll show you exactly what that is in a second. But you can also cut this pipe with a Sawzall or even a grinder. It just takes a much longer time. But I'll show you the way I do it, and I'll show you right now the way the professionals do it. I've been doing this for 15 years this way. It's so fast, it's easy. When the people are under the house that need a measurement real fast, you need to be able to snap it and send them that pipe as soon as possible so they're not waiting around under the house. All right, so I want to show you guys how to properly snap a piece of cast iron pipe with our snap cutters. So let's say I wanted to cut a piece of cast iron 31 inches and 31 3/8 inches. I'd take my measurement, 31 3/8, and I would put a few different marks in a few different areas. 31 3/8 here. And once I have about half the pipe covered, I like to just draw a line connecting all these, and I'll show you exactly why I do this in a second. So you can kind of see there's my line right here. So what you're going to want to do is grab your snap cutters, and there's a up and down way of doing this. There's a flat thing on mine right here, and you want to put it right underneath this part where your line is, just like that. Grab your the other side of the snap cutters and attach it. Now, there is an adjustment right here for different size pipe, and you can either open this thing by turning it counterclockwise or close it, which makes it adjust for small and large pipe. Right now it's adjusted for about a 2-inch, so I'm good on that. And then this part, you kind of got to get your head way down in here and line up your line exactly where these sharp edges are. This is how it snaps it. These sharp teeth right here, this little wheel cutter, you want it exactly on the line, and with the pressure of this thing, it snaps it. Another thing you want to look for is that this thing is nice and straight. You don't want an angle on the snap cutters. So I'm going to make my adjustments here. And that's why I like to put a large line. I can see it in multiple places if it's lining up or not. So there's my white line right there, and you can see that that top tooth is hitting it and that bottom tooth is hitting it, and the camera is not really being able to see too well, but the top one here and here is also hitting it, and so I'm nice and lined up before I make my cut. So once again, the pipe is placed there at the bottom of the teeth, lined up here and here with my white line as best I can right now. Grab the top of this one and tuck it under. There's a little groove on each side here. You're going to tuck it under that thing. Your lift on your handle here while you slide it back, so it's giving some room right there, and you want to make it as tight as possible at first. And then once that's in, you can make your final adjustments, getting it perfectly lined up with your white line there, and also making sure I've got a slight angle right now. You can see it if I look straight down, so I want to slide that one back a little bit like that. And remember, this just takes seconds after you're a pro at it. Doesn't take this long. I can snap a pipe, measure it, with 30 seconds or something, have it all cut. One more trick that I want to do right before I snap it to show you guys what we do in the industry is kind of mark it a little bit with the teeth while it's lined up. and then take it and move it just a little bit, you know, half an inch or something, and that really puts some indentations on it exactly, and then when it snaps, it's gonna break evenly. Now I'm ready to cut. Let me show you how easy this is. I put my 1 foot down here and snap. And you can see how fast I cut that and how accurate it is without having a huge angle or anything like that. You can see half of my white line is on this side of the pipe, the other is on this side. It's just a perfect cut that it's done in seconds. You don't have to waste a lot of time with your Sawzall or your grinder. This is an excellent tool, and if you are a professional, you should get one of these. So this is plumber's tape right here. It has a big hole and a small hole throughout the whole length of it. Here's an example of a stove bolt and nut, just a simple screw with a nut. And this is the way I like to strap my cast iron piping. I'll take the plumber's tape and I'll take a drywall screw and I'll screw it into underneath the house, some sort of nice supporting beam there with one screw. And then I'll take my pipe and I'll loop it around like this. I'll take my stove bolt, preferably in the first one, at least the first one in the small hole, and then the second one in either, and I'll screw the stove bolt and nut together like that, and that only has to be hand tight, something like that. And that way, when this is hanging here, as I get my length, I can adjust this. If I need to go up a little higher, I can simply unscrew this one and choke up on my plumber's tape, or vice versa. So when I hang my pipe, now it's easy to make my adjustments for getting my level correct by simply unscrewing the screw and either pulling up on the one side of the plumber's tape or lowering it, depending on if I need more slope or less slope. Another acceptable way of hanging the pipe would be like this, with one drywall screw through the top like that. It's not as good, it doesn't choke the pipe as nicely, and you can't lower and raise it easily like that. Another way would be to a little better, a tighter grip is to double up on that one and put a screw through there. But once again, it's not easy to lower and raise without that stove bolt. So that's why my preferred way is using the stove bolt and nut. All right, so when you have a bad section of pipe that you need to cut out, or you're just installing a piece and you have a section here, or a fitting in this case, and a section here, you'll need to find the measurement between these two places. So, for example, if the measurement was exactly 5 inches, what you need to remember is the no-hub couplings take up a little bit of room on each of them. So there's a little tiny in between here space. So that space where there's a little bit of rubber is actually about 1/8 of an inch. So if I have two no-hub couplings, one that goes on this side with the rubber, and one that would go on this side like this, and I needed to get this pipe in between here, I would measure that 5 inches minus 1/8 on each side, which is 1/4, leaving me with 4 3/4 inch size of a pipe. And sometimes it's really hard to connect these with these no-hub couplings. It's impossible to connect it like that. So what you would have to do is slide this rubber band back down just simply by folding it as far as you can possibly till it's almost flush with the pipe, like that. And you do that on both sides. Getting the metal on, if you can, either side. Sometimes it's tricky on this fitting side, but you can always open up the metal band by simply unscrewing this thing all the way open like this. Now we'll be able to get this on later without a problem. And then if you had a tight space, you'd be able to get your pipe, slide it in there with just enough room because these are pushed back, and then you could flip the no hub coupling rubber like that and that. To install your new piece of pipe. And of course you would follow it up by installing the metal around the rubber band. And you would tighten that, two sides with the nut driver, followed up by the 60-pound torque wrench. And for a situation like this, sometimes you will need to open up the band. You can just slide that right over, get it on there, just like that, and continue tightening till it's all securely fastened. One more thing that I like to do personally is kind of keep all of my no hubs going the same direction at the top if it is convenient for you, and the wording so the inspector can read it. Every piece of cast iron pipe is supposed to be labeled with the manufacturer's name on it, and just keep the wording visible at a straight line. It just makes your plumbing look nice and clean when you do things like this. All right, so that's the general overview of cast iron piping. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos with specific jobs showing you how to install these cast iron fittings and the pipe for exact situations. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.